Ooh, welcome back everybody. We are prepped and ready to fight our very first boss, someone known as the Cleric Beast. First we gotta get through these 3 crows and this 1 brick troll. So try to lock on to the brick troll and get his attention, and him and all the crows. There we go. The crows are really slow, so let's go and fight the brick troll first. There we go. Once he raises his brick over his head like that, you can fire. Usually the crow isn't that close. Oh nice, that was lucky. And they sometimes drop stuff. Ooh, an antidote. That's a rare one. Usually they just drop pebbles. Don't worry about healing up, because we're actually going to do a little bit of a trick. So the way this works, right, is you might notice in the top right corner you've got your blood echoes, and underneath it you got that little eyeball. That's known as insight, and I'll talk more about it as it becomes relevant, but it changes some different things the higher your insight is. But the main thing is you have to have at least 1 insight in order to activate the abandoned doll so that you can level up. And normally you don't get your first insight until you witness a boss, which we're about to do. You get an insight when you witness one, and you get another insight when you kill it. Sometimes more than one, depending on how hard the boss is. So the idea is they wanted you to fight the Cleric Beast without leveling up, and then you get your first levels after you beat it. But there's actually a trick you can do. There's a couple of tricks, really. We already activated one of them, so that you can level up before you fight this boss, thus making it a lot easier, because otherwise this boss is a little difficult. Their reason, or the trick, is based on the fact that we went and talked to Eileen the Crow in the last video, who gave us these bold hunter marks, which act as, oh now I'm trying to remember what they're called in Dark Souls, but they take you back to a hunter's dream, or whatever the last lantern is you were at, without making you lose your blood echoes. So equip those in your quick slot, because what we can do is we can activate the boss fight, which will get us an insight, and then immediately use a bold hunter's mark to bounce out of there. And now that we have our insight, we can level up, and then we just come back and fight the Cleric Beast. So that's what we're gonna do. So equip it, hit down on the D-pad until you get to it. Have your thumb right over that square button ready to go, because it will ask you to clarify when you activate it. It'll say, are you sure? And it should already be on yes, so you just hit. And you want to be quick with this, because you don't want to get hit. Luckily, the Cleric Beast shows up quite a ways away from you, so you got plenty of time to do it. But he's going to jump up from the top of that roof there, and the minute you see him, yep, there's a big boy. Step back, hit the button. The minute you get your insight, you're waiting for that eyeball to hit 1. You hit square, then hit X, and you're out. So now we got our 1 insight. Now we can go back to Hunter's Dream and level up. And we can go ahead and take this off. And notice the doll is awake. And we got some items, so actually we're going to do a couple of things here. Before we talk to that doll, let's collect the Beckoning Bell and the Silencing Blank. That's for your online co-op, which we're not going to be doing. And an Old Hunter Bell, which I think is for PvP. I'm not 100% sure, actually, because I don't do any of that stuff. Let's come in now that this door is also open. And we can talk to Garamond.
Well, you'll just,
Again, talk to him until he repeats himself.
This was
okay. And then over here is an important aspect. This is our weapons upgrade bench. So we can fortify our saw cleaver already. This is the first thing we want to spend our blood echoes on. Any fortifications we can do. Well, not any, but because we're not going to upgrade the blunderbuss. But go ahead and upgrade the saw cleaver. It also unlocks what's called a blood gem slot. We don't have the ability to slot blood gems, nor do we have any blood gems to slot, so don't worry about it. Up here's a memory altar that can't be used right now. Back here is a note if you want to read up some backstory. Out here, we've got that gravestone's going to be important much later. Over here is a neat item. This is the Insight Bath Messenger. You can buy some things with Insight, which we will be doing later. You don't want any of this stuff right now. You can buy the small resonant bell if you want. Again, it's another co-op item. And then over here, there's another little alcove, which we'll get to later. There's nothing really here except for this tree stump, which has got nothing right now. These gravestones are all going to be important later. This is those chalice dungeons I talked about in the very first episode. Our Bath Messenger, we're going to come here pretty much every time we level up because we're going to sell some items. Which in this case, we're never going to use pungent blood cocktails, and they're worth 200 echoes apiece, so go ahead and sell all those. Same for the throwing knives. I think, yeah, we're going to use everything else. Keep your antidotes, your molotovs, your oil urns, pebbles, bold hunter marks, you need all those. And obviously never sell blood vials or quicksilver bullets, that's crazy. And never sell any upgrade materials, never sell any weapons because there's the trophy for getting every weapon. We will be selling a lot of armor though, to be honest. So go ahead and sell your default armor. In my opinion, armor is almost useless in Bloodborne. Like, there's very small differences, so you can't really go wrong like if you just use the hunter garb throughout the whole playthrough. I've written down in the Google Doc that's linked in the description the, in my opinion, best armor sets for each scenario. Except for blood. I didn't write down blood. I should probably add that. It's just there's only like one boss that does blood damage. I guess 2. Maybe 3? I don't know if the last one does blood. Anyway. Then I also like to use up all of my cold blood too. Just go into the inventory, use it all up. If you want to really like min-max, I've written down the worth of all the cold bloods in that same Google Doc, so you can like math out how many you want to pop so that you get just enough blood echoes to hit the next level. I have been known to do that sometimes, but for this I'll save you the trouble. And I'll just pop all of them. And now we can talk to the doll.
Hello, I, Honorable, and you will twin.
You can talk to her as well. She's got some stuff to say. Again, it's all story-based. So, you don't really have to, but we're going to channel blood echoes. And now, a word about this as well. In that same Google Doc, I wrote down a very large leveling guide all the way up to level 160. The main one we want to do is up to 154. It is going to give us a good amount of vitality, a decent amount of endurance. It's going to give you the strength and skill required to use the 3 main weapons that we're going to be using. We're never going to put any skill into Blood Tinge. And it's going to max out our arcane, because this is an arcane build. And trust me, the amount of fighting we're going to do, we're going to get to level 154, no problem. So feel free to follow along with that leveling guide. It's sectioned off into groups of 10. Or you can just follow along with my video here and kind of compare what level you're at to what level I'm at. But for right now, you want to do Vitality, and then 2 in Arcane, and then 1 in Vitality, and then 2 in Arcane. We do that a couple of times. So let me follow along here, and then 1 in Vitality. Okay. So that puts us at level 17. So we did... what, 3 Vitality and 4 Arcane? Yeah. So, confirm that. And now we are ready to fight the Cleric Beast.
May you...
before we do, let's set up our inventory here, our quick items. I'm gonna put the Iosefka's blood vial, and then I'm gonna need oil urns and right trigger to move on to the next quick item, and then Molotov, and do them in that order so that you can quickly switch from the oil urn to the Molotov, because oil urns make your Molotovs deal more damage. And one of the secret abilities of Arcane is it increases all elemental damage, so that includes Molotovs. So that's actually how we're going to fight these first few bosses, really. Because we don't have any spells right now, so Molotovs are going to be the way to go. So we got that. And then what else do we need? I think that's all we're going to put on there. It doesn't... Cleric Beast does not inflict poison, so don't worry about that. And then head back to Central Yharnam. So the one bad thing about doing this method of leveling up before the boss is you have to fight through these enemies again to get back to them. But you might notice we deal slightly more damage now, so even if you're not leveling up skill or strength... Yeah, there he is. Every level increases your damage slightly. And I also like to go ahead and, although he's not in the way, this guy's an easy way to get souls and quicksilver bullets. Oh, and also I never mentioned there's a note over here for more backstory. So remember, go up the stairs. I like to get rid of these guys for the same reason. Also, you don't want them sneaking up on you. So you remember last episode it took 4 hits to kill that guy? Well, now it only takes 3. Get rid of this guy. Switch back over to my blunderbuss. We don't have to kill the 2 scourge beasts again. You don't have to worry about them sneaking up on you. Just the brick troll and the crows. Or you can sprint past them if you don't want to bother. Got him. See, now that's a one-shot kill, whereas last time it took 2. Alright, took care of them. See, there's the pebble. He almost always drops blood vials. And now we are ready. So, here's how I'm going to do these bosses. I'm going to explain what I can remember. I'm not going to go through and describe every single attack and how to counter every single attack, because again, my guides are not your professional, let's get through this without taking a single hit and being frame perfect and everything type guide. This is a kind of layman's way of what I think is the easiest way to fight each of these bosses. They're not perfect, but they'll get the job done, and they'll be, again, what I think to be the easiest way. And what I think to be the easiest way is to hit him with an oil urn, and then switch over to the Molotovs and hit him with one of those. Switch back to the oil urn, hit him with the Molotov. When you hit him with the Molotov, it burns up all the oil, so you have to reapply it. And you should only have 2 unless you got, like, super lucky. I can't remember if any of these enemies drop oil urns, but... After that, we'll use up the rest of the Molotovs, and then after that, we'll just take some pot shots, and it should be GG. But I will explain some of his attacks. He's big, but he's all melee, so as long as you keep your distance, you're pretty good. There is one attack where he has one large arm and one smaller arm. There's one attack where he slams his large arm down on the ground and then, like, uses it to propel himself forward. And that move has quite a bit of range. So do be careful of that. And also there's one where he really like slams his hand onto the ground kind of like right in front of him. And don't think you're safe yet, because there's a quite long pause, like good 2 to 3 seconds, before he rips that same arm up off the ground, and it does like a little shockwave kind of thing if you're too close. So that one's also really tricky. It can fake you out a lot. Because he'll pause and you think, well, the attack's over, and then he rips his arm up and it hits you. And that one deals a lot of damage. The only other thing you really need to watch out for is he'll jump up in the air and try to land on top of you. So just dodge, preferably towards where he jumped up. It's kind of counterintuitive. and you should be safe. But as long as you're just mashing the dodge button, you'll probably be pretty safe. Keep your health high. That's why I like to use the special blood vials before using any of my regular blood vials during a boss fight. So let me get my oil urns. There they are. Other than that, all of his attacks are kind of in close proximity to him. So if you're standing in front of him, he'll kind of swipe around his feet and deal damage to you. Be careful of the arena as well. It's easy to get kind of stuck in a corner somewhere, so try to stay in the middle. But for the most part, just try to keep your distance. You're going to throw an oil urn at him. Try to do so when he's not attacking, because you don't want to miss, and it's easy to miss. Then do the same with the Molotov. Again, try not to miss, because you can soar right over him. It's better, he's got 2 lock-on targets. He's got his head and his body. If you lock onto his body, I think it makes it more likely for you to hit with your items. So just do that until we run out of Molotovs, and then we're going to kind of do the get close to him, hit him a couple of times, and then dash away. Keep our distance while he's attacking. I'll also mention that you can damage his limbs enough to where he'll stand back and kind of try to heal him. That's a great time to get some shots in. You can also, if you hit him in the head, there's a method you can look up of shooting him in the head, and it will break his poise and stagger him and open him up to a visceral. The Molotovs do the same thing. You'll hear the telltale like ping if he's susceptible to a visceral. If that happens, try to lock onto his head, although you don't have to lock on, but get right in front of his head and hit R1, and you'll pull off a visceral, which does a lot of damage. Other than that, I think that's really it. Again, we're just going to keep our distance, pelt him with fire, and then try to get close and finish him off with our saw cleaver. Keep your saw cleaver untransformed, because the serration on this form does extra damage, because this counts as a beast. In fact, you should just never transform this, trust me. Okay, let's give this a try. So I'm probably going to clam up while I'm fighting, because with the bosses, I have to have full concentration. But here we go. So there's the head, there's the body. So now he's getting close. So try to bait him into an attack. Dodge away, let's take him down. Oh, he got me. So now I'm against the wall, so let's try to get around him. Okay, attack. So you hit him. So now switch to Molotovs and attack. See, that is a visceral, so switch over to his head and hit him. And see, we've already dealt like 1/4 of his health. See, there's the like dash forward I talked about. Uh-oh. Alright, well I hit him with the blood bot, or the oil one, so that's good. There we go. Let me go ahead and heal up. And there's that dash. And see, there's him healing, so that's a great time to attack. That's the one where he's going to rip the arm up right there. See? Ooh, right in the crotch. Oh, I missed him. And there we go. See? Easy peasy. And we get our very first trophy, huzzah! And the Sword Hunter badge. The badges are what unlock weapons in the Bath Messenger shop. Don't forget to grab whatever this is, some Quicksilver bullets, and light the lantern. And we have just beaten our very first boss. Congratulations. Now, if you didn't have enough Molotovs, I got lucky with some of the drops off of normal enemies on these Molotovs. Last time I did this, I did not have 10. So you're going to have to dash in, hit him a couple of times, and dash back out. Try to keep it to like 2 hits, 1 or 2. And then just keep your health up when he starts swinging. and you should be good to go. So with that, we're actually going to pause here. Actually, before we do, let me show you some things. Go back to Hunter's Dream. And I'm going to go ahead and level up. What I like to do is I like to level up before and after each boss. And since we just did the full gambit of fortifying my weapons, selling all my stuff, and buying all my stuff, we're not going to do that again. We're just going to go straight to her. Channel my blood echoes. And let's see here, we're at 17, so we want to do 2 arcane and a vitality. Okay, so we're out, so 2 arcane. Again, I, encourage you to pause to maybe take a screenshot of my stats at these particular levels if you're not at the exact same amount of blood echoes as I have. I'm hoping that if you followed these videos to a T, that you'll be at the same state I am. It kind of depends on how much you've died and had to go back. But if you've died and had to go back, you should actually have more blood echoes than me. Given that you didn't permanently lose anything. I guess I've never mentioned that. If you die and then on your way back to your blood echoes you die again before picking them up, those blood echoes that were originally left on the ground get lost forever. So, try not to die twice in a row. Okay, with that, we're gonna head back. Instead of heading to the Great Bridge, which is where we just fought the boss, head back to Central Yarnum. And now we're gonna pause, and we will continue with a large trek to the next boss. So until then, stay safe.